So in my previous video, I displayed a timeline that showed the events leading up to the American Civil War. The reason I did that is because this is a pro-truth channel. I want to show each individual the facts, the evidence, the reasoning, let them do their own research, come to their own conclusion, but at least they were exposed to the truth. Because if you just rely on the education system and the news media, you will be deceived. I just think every individual is at least owed the courtesy of having access to real information. And the reason I did so was to show you how history is condensed into bullet points. They make it look like each event is synonymous with one another. Even though the Dred Scott case was in 1857, and it wasn't until 1861 that the first organized battle took place. John Brown was a terrorist, a political terrorist that was easily brought to justice. Fort Sumner was a bombardment. The only casualties were during the salute, the gun salute, after the battle ended. Ironically, right? But First Bull Run in Manassas, Virginia, was the first organized battle where you had troops, generals, corps, divisions, so on and so forth. And so it wasn't until about 4 years later that you went from the Dred Scott decision to the first battle of the war. And using that historical context, the question is, when historians look back at this period of time, will they, when condensing events, look at an event that happened already and conclude that that event is what led to the current conflict? Or is there still another event that is yet to come to fruition? That is the question. But what's causing all this? This is going to surprise you. What is the biggest fuck you that you can give to these corporations? What is the biggest middle finger? What is the biggest thing you can do to counter what they're trying to do to you? What they're trying to do is stir the pot. I remember when I was younger, I used to like to agitate people. And my grandma would always say, there you are, you're stirring the pot, you're stirring the pot. And what she means by that is I was trying to stir something up. That's what the media is doing. It is like if you get water and you boil it. If you do not stop that water from boiling over, it is going to leave the container. Right now, the media is trying to boil the water out of the container. That is why you see Comcast Corporation making a film about liberals shooting conservatives. That is why you see all this divisive rhetoric. It is all to build tension. Now let's get into tension and what it is, and then I will tell you what you can do that will be the biggest fuck you to these corporations. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It only takes a little bit of time and a little bit of energy. So the definition of tension is the state of being stretched tight. Tension is brought on by stress, and then you have to ask yourself, what is stress? Well, stress is any change in the environment that requires your body to react and adjust in response. The body reacts to these changes with physical, mental, and emotional responses. How does stress affect health? The human body is designed to experience stress and react to it. Stress can be positive, such as getting a job promotion or going on a first date. It can also keep us alert and help us avoid danger, which is true because when your brain goes into fight or flight mode, our ancestors used that primitive instinct in order to survive. We still have that instinct today, And it is there to keep us out of threats, even when they don't exist. But that is how our thought process have evolved over time. That's another issue for another day, though. It can also, stress becomes negative, and it's called distress. Negative stress is distress. And that's when a person faces continuous challenges without relief or relaxation between challenges. As a result, the person becomes overworked and stress-related tension builds. Distress can lead to physical symptoms including headaches, upset stomach, elevated blood pressure, chest pain, and problems sleeping. Research suggests that stress can also bring on or worsen symptoms or diseases. And so what you got to realize is the biggest fuck you, the biggest middle finger that you can have is not getting tense. See, the media, they want to do two things. They want to make people on the left be angry about Trump and blame him for the shootings. And then they want people that support Trump or that are on the right to get defensive because in their minds they are wrongly being accused of things that they did not do, they are not responsible for. And so it builds tension between individuals, tension in the body, tension in the mind. And without tension, you never have conflict. It begins in your mind like a seed and it creates tension. Well, what can you do? What I do is I don't put any energy into it. I don't put any time or effort into it. I purposely go out of my way to watch things which I know will relieve tension. I watched Bob Ross, The Joy of Painting. I like to watch 90s sitcoms when people were more laid back. They weren't so on edge all the time. I also like to meditate, exercise. All those things release tension. And so the biggest fuck you that you can have is the ability to control your thoughts and your own mind. And the way you do that is by purposely not getting tension at what they want you to be focused on. And if you do that, not only will you be happier, you'll be healthier, but you will also be better off mentally. Because this is really a battle over your mind. And this is purely hypothesis. My own personal hypothesis. But if you look at the advertiser that pours billions into these news corporations, the same advertiser is the number one advertiser for Fox News and CNN, and that is Odazella. They create medication. And so it is quite possible that there is a concerted effort by these news corporations to make you angry. That way you'll be more likely not only to be exposed to the products, but to consume the products. And again, that is purely a hypothesis that I have. But I do know what their goal is to get us tense. And when you're tense, everybody reacts to tension differently. Some people, they break down and they cry and they're upset. Other people, they get combative. Other people, they get anxious. But that's like in New York City, literally, there was a news story that I don't remember it 100% because I've not been keeping up with this stuff, but someone had a car or something and people got scared and thought it was a gun. But that's because people are tense right now. They are on edge. And some people are taking that tension and they're using it against their fellow Americans, their fellow brothers and sisters. They're taking out that tension on everyone besides the individual responsible. And that's what they want you to do. The ruling class needs to consolidate its power at the top. If we're tense and we focus that tension on each other, not only can they expand their power and control, but we are gaslighted by the fact that we are against each other instead of the elites that control this country. I look at it quite differently, though. I think the politicians are simply placeholders on the chessboard. And the media members are simply puppets. What you've got to look at is who distributes the content. Brian L. Roberts, the sack of shit that owns Comcast, is responsible for the distribution of the content that is causing tension. No joke, there was an individual on CNN that stated, CNN, they're all the same, I don't watch this, but I saw a piece about it on my Twitter, but apparently someone on NBC said that Trump is sending subliminal messages to white supremacists. So what does that do? It causes people that hate Trump to believe that his supporters are white supremacists, and it causes his supporters that are not white supremacists to be angry of being accused of being white supremacists. And it causes people to take sides, people to become tribalistic, so on and so forth. They also said that Trump putting down the flag at half-staff has something to do with numerology of Hitler. I mean, these people are getting insane. And now what you got to realize is these people are puppets. The owner of the content is Brian L. Roberts that owns Comcast. NBC Universal, he's also producing the film of violence. What you got to realize is this little weasel, this little piece of shit wants you to be stressed. He wants you to have tension because he wants to protect his power at the top. And so the biggest fuck you that you can have is you purposely do not get tense. You purposely do not use your energy. The human body contains iron, nitrogen, oxygen, water, all these things that are elements in the universe. The elements in the human body are found in the earth. They are found in stars, stardust, and all of the nutrients we need, like nitrogen and water, are abundant, cycling through the universe. So the energy that you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. Your brain creates new neurological pathways, new pathways for you to think. That's why if you focus your energy on positive things, like art, music, children, society, what is good, what is great, what is perfect, what is beautiful. If you focus on that instead of hatred, war, anger, division, you will develop new pathways and different thought processes if you just make a concerted effort. Now, of course, the obvious things that you'll hear from other channels is exercise. I agree, exercise is a good releaser of tension and it puts you in good physical shape. If a conflict ensues, and when it ensues, in my opinion, I hope I'm wrong on that, if you can run over a mile, you will definitely have a comparative advantage. If you know how to grow your own food, if you eat healthy, if you can lift a lot of weight and you're physically fit, you will have a comparative advantage. And in life, you can't control other people, you can't control circumstances, you can't control the weather, you can't control objects. But what you can control is yourself. And if you give yourself comparative advantages and put yourself in a position like a coach drawing up the right play, you will more likely come out ahead. And so that is kind of my focus, is to better yourself. But also, one last thing that you can do is try to do what you can to ease tension. Try right now to not be so combative, especially with people you disagree with. I know it's difficult. I know it is in your instinct to get angry about being accused of being a racist when you're not. I get that. I don't like that either. But at the same time, you got to realize is you got to feel the burn when you're exercising in order to gain muscle. So you got to put up with the temporary initial pain so you do not escalate and make tensions worse. So what you can do is do what you can to de-escalate tensions. Try on your social media page to post something positive. A piece of art, beautiful architecture, a beautiful poem, a beautiful song. Post something that is just aesthetically pleasing. And at least for that moment in time, the individuals that view it, even if they are combative, even if they are feeling tribalistic and defensive, for that period of time, they can release some tension. And instead of releasing that tension by drugs, alcohol, antidepressants, violence, they can release that tension through other ways. And so that would be my recommendation. Do what you can to ease tensions. Be a solution-oriented person.